This is another beautiful day that Yahweh has made. I am the angel Gabriel, sent to promote and make my Father's name all over the world. And his name is a sound, because it predates all speech and literature. His name is like a breath. And I have applied letters to it, YA-HA, so that you will be able to recognize it when you hear it and where it is used. I'm about to give you some information, and we're going to talk about the Book of Redemption, which is the first book that contain the true name of our Father, the Creator, Yahweh. Now notice I said our Father, because it doesn't matter how you think or what you think or how you feel about my Father and I. He is still your Father, and I'm still your messenger, whether you receive it or not. I don't use the word God because God is a title, and it in no way properly represent my Father, Yahweh. Lord are titles. Again, these are heathen expressions and cannot represent my Father, Yahweh. My Father's Book of Redemption is the book written by me from the beginning. The Bible is not your book that can resurrect you. It's the book of Satan. And the book has no name because the writers of Satan didn't know what to call it. So that's why it is still called the book. It has no name. Now every book is a book. So there's nothing special. There's no power in the word Bible. But as if any of you had done your job as the Father commanded you to, you would have read in Malachi 3:16 that you need a book of remembrance. The book of remembrance is needed because the Bible is seriously flawed, and it is flawed on purpose. It was not written to bring you to redemption. Remember now, my Father and I didn't interfere, so we didn't give you any books. The book is written by Satan in order to seal the fate of all who believe. That's right. But there are inserts in there from the book of the law, the book of redemption, the book of remembrance, they're all the same. That you followed my Father's instruction, but you didn't, and studied, of course you wouldn't have resurrected, but you would have been alerted that there's something wrong, and you would have been able to operate or to go forward in caution. But you didn't follow my Father's instruction. And the Bible was written so that the righteous would never understand, and that you would never return to my Father and I. But you didn't study. Studying is a necessary process in order to return to my Father and me. In the Bible it's written of an Exodus. Exodus to where? Exodus when and how? You were always in the hand of Satan and his advocates. And Exodus could have only been from the society controlled by Satan. So there's in no wise would anyone from here before me, before my coming, my sending, would have been able to exit anywhere. You aren't prepared to enter the kingdom. You can't get back to the garden unless I take you there. So what exodus would there have been? These things you should have questioned. But you didn't study, as my Father asked you to. So there's no way that you could have exodus to the land promised, in which you refer to as heaven. But you didn't study. You can only get into the kingdom when you're in the law of Yahweh. That's right. And only I can take you there. Almost any member of any church congregation, how deep, however deep it in Satan it is, can quote the verse 2 Timothy and 2:15. If you had read that carefully, and it tell you to study, to show yourself approved, otherwise to be accepted by my Father and I. And it tell you how to study. It say rightly dividing, show yourself approved. And it tell you also, don't be afraid to do it. See, you're afraid of this book called the Bible. But it tell you don't be afraid. And it tell you to divide, rightly dividing, to separate the truth from the lies. It didn't write it that way, but you should have known if you have to separate something in the Bible, that some things are truth and some things are lies. Now, my Father told you again, it's in the Bible, and all you just push it into your phone and your computer. He said, everyone that came before me are thieves, they are robbers, they are liars, they are deceivers. So you should have known that the preacher is Satan's boy, because he's here doing Satan's error. My Father, if my Father tell you, say, okay, I'm not going to interfere, and he interfered, then my Father becomes a lie. You know this is impossible. It is impossible for my Father to lie. So when the preacher came telling you that he is God's man and he knows so much about God and God is talking to him and not talking to you, you should have known that something is wrong. That's right. But you didn't study. You put yourself under the tutelage of Satan's liars. And they've taken you further and further away from my Father and I. That's what 2 Timothy 2:15 is all about. Very powerful, small passage. But why? Because Satan has you bound. You can read these passages. You can read them, but you wouldn't understand them. You read them, but you don't obey them. My Father said, obey my voice. But in your condition, you are taught to disobey. You are taught to trust Satan's advocate, which is your preachers. And in your condition, you would never obey my Father and I. We left enough message here for you to be in much better shape and condition than you are now. That's right. In the Bible, there are inserts in there. And they're there because the writers of the Bible could not see them. That's right. And you may say, why you couldn't see them? Okay, go to Revelation, the 5th chapter, and it clearly tells you why. And read it, the 5th chapter of Revelation, and read it verse 1, verse 3, verse 4, verse 2, and verse 7. And don't go any further, because of that you get in the trash. Don't read yourself over in the trash. And read that over and over till you understand that nobody, no man, nothing in existence could see this. But my Father and I, even my brothers, the angels, whom I love so dearly, they couldn't see it either. That's why the Father sent me. My brothers wanted to come, but they couldn't come. My Father never came before any man, never spoke a word to any man, and he's not going to speak it to you. That's how and why he prepared me. A body I prepared for me. That's right. And to strengthen that and support that, go to Isaiah 42 and 1. And you read 1 and you read 4. And you see that I didn't come here to fail. There's no question about me failing. You can fail, but I can't fail. That's right. I've come to get you. You knew and you heard all your life that at the end of time, at the end of Satan's rule, that my Father was sending his angel. He's sending this messenger. Those things are talking about me. That's right. He's sending someone. That's right. To lead you, to guide you, to teach you, to warn you. That's right. And to prepare you to return to my Father and I, to return to the kingdom, to return to the garden where you once were living in bliss. And when it said, write a book of remembrance, it is telling you that this, I'm teaching you something that you once knew. All of you once knew it. Now, all of you might not return to me. I'm not going to say you're not. I'm going to say might not. That's where I leave the door open. Because if I speak it, the Father will make it come true. So you might not come with me or with us. But I want every one of you to come with me. We had a good time. We had peace and tranquility. And there's nothing that compares to the garden. I love to refer to the crystal city. Oh, how beautiful it is. But you have to study. You must study. That's right. You are taught to refuse the facts. And you are taught to accept the fiction. That's right. Facts belong to my Father and I. Fiction belongs to Satan. You're taught that way. So you're going to resist me. That's right. You don't know me. I introduce myself to you, but you don't know me. And you must study. It is a must. There's no getting by. Because I can't tell you enough that there are 2 books. And your name is already in every person that ever come to this side. Name is already in one book. But you must study. You must go to my blog. As 2 Timothy 2:15 says, study to show yourself approved. And you must study the blog until you rise. Then you must follow through to get your name in the other book. That's right. And if you don't, you can know before you leave here. If you didn't get your name moved from one book over to the other, you know you're doomed. You're gone. So do your work and study. Go to my blog, GabryalMission.blogspot.com. GabryalMission.blogspot.com. I wrote that. I'm sent to write that. I wrote that for you. I'm sent to write it for you. That's right. And it took a long time to write it because a lot to be done. And so all you need to do is, I'm not saying have to do, you need to do is study it. And if you study it, it will bring you alive. It will awaken you because you still sleep. Satan put you all in deep sleep. That's right. He did it. Now, he couldn't force you to believe in religion, even though he did a lot of brutal things. But my Father didn't give him authority over you. He only had access to you. That's right, which means he could go among you. And that's what he did. And in the scripture there, asks Satan, where you going? And his response was to and fro throughout the earth to see who I can devour. So see, you should have been aware. Had you read, you would have seen these things. And see, the other thing too, about throughout the earth. You got to know that what the earth is. See, when I mention earth, you think about the planet we're walking on. See, that's not that either. There's something with that, and I talk about that. That's right. So Satan had plenty of time to set you up. That's right. He had plenty of time to lock you up in the mind. He had plenty of time to rob you and to cause you to do bad things. You know, you're my father's children, but you're bad children now. I come to cause you to become good children. That's right. To show my father that you can be good. That's right. Satan took advantage of you. That's right. Because he is much more savvy than you. Now, sometimes I don't want to call him smart, because if he's smart, he wouldn't be Satan. So he took his abilities and he used them against you. He didn't use them for you. And he created this. You know, everybody here is a slave. This is a slave society. So he took advantage of you. He pretends to love you and give you religion, but he doesn't love you. The writers of the Bible, there's not one that understood the message my father and I left. That's right. He told you that in the last days, and all you had to do was just weather Satan's foolishness, because he told you in the last days he would send me and would reveal all the messages that he left for you. That's right. But you went headlong into religion and idol worship, and worship all kind of gods with all kind of names worldwide. You know, it is ironic how the world, every nation worship one devil, but every language, tongue, tribe, nation has its own God. Think about it. All of these strange gods throughout the myth, magic, witchcraft, and lies. So anything that you worship, you make your God. That's right. Whatever you worship, you make your God. But there's really only one creator. There's one almighty. There's only one and only potentate, and that is my Father. You should have known better, but you didn't. You should have obeyed, but you didn't. That's right. You don't hear my Father and I. No, you don't. You should know that you did not have access to my Father. It was written. But the book of the law, the book of remembrance, and the book of redemption is written at my Father's command and at his dictation. He dictated and I wrote it for you. But these religions teaches you all against my Father's law, and they've led you down the garden path of destruction. The first thing that Satan said to you when he came to you in the garden was, he said. And if you notice that all of the preachers use the same thing on you today. He said, God said. Who said? My Father has never spoken a word to any man. He didn't speak to Satan. The first time you heard speech, it was from Satan. A red flag should have gone up, but it didn't. For some reason, you found it easy to follow misinstruction and bad direction. So you followed Satan into perdition. That's right. There was never a word spoken between Satan and our Father. That's right. He came to you in the lying image because he knew that you didn't know. So he said a serpent. And see, he blamed the little asp, an innocent little animal. And what the world doesn't understand, you should by now if you heard it from me, that a serpent is not an asp. A serpent is not a snake. You know. But you went headlong and blamed the little asp. And even to the day you kill him because of what Satan has done. But had you followed my Father's instructions and looked it up and ran reference on it, you would have known that Satan lied to you. Because a serpent, serpents, plural, are males. They are men. That's right, who lied to you. And they're the ones who helped Satan keep you in the path of death. They have helped to seal you for the love of money, status, which you call pseudo status, because they think they're high when they're actually most low. That's right. He said to you to study, but you didn't. You went headlong and you totally accused this poor little innocent snake, asp, it was called then, of misleading you. Have you ever heard it asp speak a word? That's right. Have you ever heard an asp, you call a snake, speak a word? Think. But had you did your job again, you never obeyed my Father. You never obeyed him. You would have known. That's right. Again, you would know that this world is Satan's world. There's an example of my Father's world in the book, but you don't want to see that. But see, the Bible is a book of Satan. Yeah, but there are inserts in there, and they're put in there to cause you to pay attention to them. That's right. And there are very few facts in the Bible. Yes, there is. Who a man slept with, and you see, you never obeyed my Father when he told you to study. That's right. Because had you done your job, you would have known. That's right. Even to this day, you're still blaming an innocent snake for the evil that Satan has done to you. That's right. Again, you're hard-headed and stiff-necked, and you disobeyed my Father, and you don't study. Again, there's an example. Look in the book. Search these things of my Father's work in the book of Satan. That's right. But you are taught to accept it because it states that you can get by. You don't have to pay for your sin. Think, what would the kingdom be like? You see, who a man slept with, what wife he had, and what wife he ravished, and the evil that he done, the wars and stuff, has nothing to do with your salvation. The genealogy, so-called, it has nothing to do with your salvation. That's right. If you had operated under the instructions of my Father and eliminated, do the process of elimination, take away the J alone. That's right. Take all names and words that begin with a J. It'll begin to shine a light on the truth. But you didn't. Had you eliminated all myth, all magic, and all witchcraft, again, would have shined a light and you'd have been closer to the truth. But you didn't. You prefer to leave things as they are. That's right. You want to keep them that way and keep it, and it keeps you in the dark. Yes, it does. God would just wipe away all the evil that you've done, all the wrong that you've done to different people. And that's right. And you're just going to waltz on into the kingdom of YHWH anyway. Then there would be no need for resurrection. There would be no need for a kingdom, because it would be just like here. That's right. When I was small, I approached my mother and I said to her, Mama, I don't like this world. That's right. And I said to her, if Jesus is God, I don't want to go to heaven. That's right. And she replied to me, she said, why, son? I said, because heaven would be just like it is here. Because Jesus died to set all these people free. That's right. And it would. Because he died for your sins. So every evil person, every rapist, every molester, every murderer, every prisoner, that's right, every bank robber, every store clerk killer, every evil person, every evil cop, and everything would be there. So there's no need for a change if Jesus is God. That's right. So that's why you accept Satan's image of Jesus as being God. Again, you didn't read my image is in the book. That's right. What is wrong with you? My image is in the book. That's right. It tells you what my skin look like. It tells you what I would be doing. It tells you that the Son come promoting the Father. But what Father did Jesus promote? He, whatever it is, promotes himself. That's right. Try to set his butt upon my Father's throne. If my Father could be thrown, he would have withdrawn. So he has no respect for the one and only potentate. He has no respect for the Most High. That's right. I know it's a fictional character, but I'm talking it and teaching it just the way they wrote, because you believe it. That's right. Has no respect for my Father, the Most High. When in fact, I love my Father. I love my position. There's no position in the world anywhere that is high as my position. That's right. I am next to the Creator. I'm also a creator. See, you didn't notice it. You never noticed it. Well, in the book, it tells you when my Father said, let us do this, let us do that, let us make man. That's right. And I've often told people, I said, when the Father said, let us, he was talking to me. That's right. And the Father goes on to tell you when I'm made. That's right. He tell you how long I've been with it. That's right. But you don't care to read that. You don't care. He tell you that the preachers are rotten and wicked and evil and the satanic and they're liars. But you don't care. People, what's wrong with you? That you love evil so much that you go against my Father and I. My Father's angry. And so am I. I know you see it in my speaking. I'm angry. That's right. People, obey my Father. Had you proved all things and obeyed, you would have known. So people, wake up. Wake up. I am despised by the world. The world don't love me. And if you notice, it's written that the messenger, Messiah, is despised by the world. That's right. Because I come teaching the opposite of what you've been taught all your day. That's right. So people wake up, study, go to my blog, GabrielMission.blogspot.com. Go to it and study and get your name moved from one book over to the next so you can live. Because my Father, Yahweh, love you. My brothers, the angels, they love you. And definitely, I love you, don't I would not be here. You be blessed. You be blessed. And come back home. Be blessed.